Elliot, let's cut the crap, get down to brass tacks. It is clear more than ever that Ethereum is bullish in 2021 as we see more people onboarding on the network to DeFi, to NFTs. And I'm sure we asked you this back in 2020, but now that we're months into this and we have more data points, could you give us the bull case for Ethereum in 2021 and how you see it playing out at the end of the year?
Yeah, and thank you for that tee up, because we have had this conversation a couple of times. The thing about Ethereum is in 2017, this was exactly what was happening, which is tons of people were flooding in. Ethereum was extremely congested and expensive. And the narrative that this just simply was going to die out was all inclusive, and everybody was believing that the ETH killer movement was going to be the future. And let me just be clear. There will absolutely be other chains, collaborative chains, other layer ones that have tremendous value and utility, like Binance Smart Chain, like Matic, Polygon, like Polkadot, like Cardano. However, the reality is, just like what we saw with Bitcoin, how there were so many coins that were cheaper and faster and better to create and deploy a financial mechanism or transfer stores of value. The fact is that Ethereum has the trust. It has the trust of a really, really big network, and the most important applications and the highest value applications are finding their home on Ethereum because it is trustworthy and it is secure. So when you're storing, for example, a video game character, well, maybe, just maybe, that should be done on a cheaper chain, on a faster chain, to improve the user experience. But if I'm storing the deed to my house, or an insurance policy for my life insurance, or maybe a significant access key for a pension fund worth billions or trillions of dollars, then I would really seek out the absolute highest standard of security and trustworthiness. And this is where you see the difference of the slower moving, more valuable ecosystems long-term versus the faster moving, more experimental and newer ecosystems that would require maybe higher throughput. And so what you'll see is trade-offs. But Ethereum's case for being the absolute undisputed home of very high value, important smart contract functions, I believe will continue to hold value. And for that reason, this is the sort of difference between a very broad approach, a very broad appeal versus a very deep appeal, where the people who are moving huge, insanely big, hard to comprehend big sums of money are doing it on Ethereum, and that $100 gas fee means nothing to them. Whereas the people who are looking for maybe a super clean, user-friendly experience that would appeal to the TikTok generation, now maybe that's going to take root on a different chain, and most likely it will. Now, what I like about what's happening is that the ETH killer movement has moved to the ETH scalar movement. And you're seeing that these chains like Polkadot and even Cardano now, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, the focus isn't on stealing from ETH, but it's on offloading from ETH. And I think that that's going to be a big characteristic of why 2021 is slightly different than 2017, though based on Twitter comments, YouTube comments, it feels as though people are once again writing ETH off as essentially old news. And as people who have been through this cycle before, I think it's pretty easy to have some perspective on it. For those people who are new to it, I would just say, look, there's going to be amazing value in those chains. There's going to be amazing value capture across all valuable layer ones. There's also going to be insane utility and time-tested, battle-tested, incredible value that comes from Ethereum.
So how, do you think 5,000 ETH near the cycle top, maybe end of the year, $10,000 ETH? How do you think about it?
Well, it really depends on how far Bitcoin goes. But if Bitcoin reaches the several $100,000 mark, the sort of 250K plus range, I think that puts Ethereum at a $20,000 to $50,000 price point. You're looking at what happened last time. Ethereum topped, just for easy math, Ethereum topped last time at about a 1440, and Bitcoin's top before that cycle was at about 1160. Now, if Bitcoin, if obviously Ethereum has different, tokenomics, they have more supply. But, in the end, I think Ethereum has the gas to go to over 20K if this bull run continues like we think we're going to. And I think there's even a possibility that it makes a sort of pretty astronomical blow off top run to something above 50K. I've said as high as 87. I mean, that number comes from dividing the market cap of gold. I think you guys covered this as well. The market cap of gold and sort of giving that to Ethereum and saying, well, is Ethereum and what it provides to the world, is it as valuable as decentralized gold? And I think this was a quote from Tyler Winklevoss, which is, it has to be at least that value. You know, a decentralized operating system that's secure and global and can actually sort of divorce us from typical systems of finance and power and ownership. I think that there's a huge case that over time we could reach that system being worth as much as decentralized gold. And I think that those numbers point to, you know, some pretty astronomical targets. So whether it's this cycle or next or whatever, I think ETH has plenty of gas to reach a healthy 5 figures.
50 to 80K ETH. You make Raoul Paul look like Charlie Munger.
But to be fair, on this cycle, I think 20 is where, if I had to say, hey, this is where I would say it for sure. If we have this cycle, I think it would hit. But, you know, things at those stages of the bull run get really parabolic. And whether it stays there or not, I mean, you look at ETH's path to 1400 and then back. And you see it was a very, very short moment, but it did go from just a few $100 up to 1400 and back very fast. And I think you could see that where it goes up from maybe 10,000 or 15,000 and then makes this just insane explosion up and then right back down again. And that's what would be like the blow off top, you know, long term, you know, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, I think looking at, you know, ETH being worth, you know, $50,000+ is something I'm comfortable with saying.
For sure. And in our final 8, 12 minutes, whatever we have, you touched on this a little bit, but I want to dig a little deeper. What is the future for Polkadot and Cardano in your eyes? In the sense, are we just going to watch them compete for market share for the next 5, 10 years with Ethereum, provide infrastructure? How do you see it?
First and foremost, competition is fantastic. Fantastic for innovation. Second of all, I think what you're going to see and what we need to see is interoperability really explode and take center stage. The way the internet works is not a bunch of data silos. You have every single data center talks to every other data center. And that's how it needs to happen with blockchain if we're going to have really the future of the financial networks. That's something that Polkadot, with their sort of parachain systems, is really pushing forward. And obviously, Cardano has their own approach to interoperability. What I'd like to see is, you know, who's the best at interoperating. And I think that that will be a big advantage. And so that's kind of where I'm looking at differentiators. But Cardano doing something better and than Polkadot or ETH or any kind of combination of those words is all bullish for the space, right? Because we have more value creation and more essential fundamental toolkits that are being created here in the decentralized world. So I think people misunderstand how, you know, every coin having some kind of breakout innovation is really good for every other coin. And that the need to be tribal and say, I like this project, and so that project must be bad, I think it just fundamentally misunderstands the way crypto grows. Look at crypto itself. When Bitcoin grows, so does Ethereum. When Ethereum grows, so does altcoins, and the market caps balloon. It's not like they eat away from each other.
Yes, great perspective. To watch the full conversation, there's a link down below in the video description. And if you're interested in learning more about cryptocurrency, click subscribe. You do not want to miss a daily video. See you tomorrow.